I'm Salma Abdulaziz in Kyiv, and this is CNN.
Making a move, the very latest from golf's star-studded US Open leaderboard. We're taking you to Budapest for another golden career record moment for the American swimming great Katie Ledecky. From gold to bronze, how Barcelona captured the prize signature of this coveted England international footballer. And do you have a head for heights? You're going to need one if you try this, and boatloads of courage too. Destination Greek Islands just ahead right here on CNN's World Sports. Hi there, thanks for joining us. You are most welcome on board. The very latest from qualifying as well ahead of Sunday's Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal is coming your way in just moments. But we do start at golf's US Open, where at this hour, what a leaderboard we have. It is nip and tuck going back and forth, packed and congested as it is star-studded. Some really big names making their move right in the thick of it as we speak. It should be a really enthralling finish there at the third men's major of the year this weekend in Massachusetts. Atop the leaderboard then, without further ado, it's this year's Masters champ and the world #1 player, Scottie Scheffler, who just minutes ago holding out for eagle from over 100 yards out at number 8. A one-shot lead right now over the reigning Open champion, Collin Morikawa. I tell you what, why don't we get straight out to our very own Don Riddell, who's covering the US Open for us. Don, thank you so much for joining us this evening as we survey that leaderboard. Who is really breaking through for you and catching your eye at this hour?
Hey, Patrick. Well, it's clearly Scottie Scheffler. The winds are really, really gusty here. It's just been kind of blowing left and right everywhere. And the winds of change are certainly whipping up this leaderboard. For most of the golfers out there right now, they're just trying to hang on. They're trying not to go backwards. Scottie Scheffler, who flew in here under the radar, seems to be just flying up the leaderboard. That was a massive eagle just a few minutes ago. We didn't see it, we heard it, and you could tell that something huge had happened because of the volume of that roar. Scheffler teeing off at 3 under par. He's now 6 under par. That is phenomenal work for the conditions here. Of course, it's a typical US Open golf course. Conditions were tricky even before this wind picked up, so he is doing really, really well. And of course, we know what he's achieved earlier this season. Remember, it wasn't that long ago where every single time he teed it up, he was leaving the golf course with a trophy in the back of the car, a run that included the Masters. He then missed the cut at the PGA Championship in Tulsa, and he arrived here with literally nobody talking about him. Of course, earlier in the week, the big talking point was the breakaway Live Series tour, and somehow he found himself in a position where literally nobody was talking about him, but he said that was just fine. Of course, keep your eye on some of the other top golfers. Collin Morikawa is trying to win a 3rd major title in 3 seasons. He's the reigning British Open champion. He teed off on 5 under par. He remains there. Rory McIlroy struggling though. Of course, McIlroy, red hot form, won in Canada just last weekend. He started off on 4 under. He has quickly slipped back to 1 under. He is not enjoying himself out there right now, Patrick.
Yeah, Don, Rory has work to do, no question about it. So many great storylines right at this year's US Open. The cool thing about these major tournaments, though, as we both know, it's not just the big names, is it, that we get to talk about? It's the really interesting backstories of golfers as well that we all love. And some of them, perhaps, let's be honest, we just don't know too much about them, right? Like perhaps the USA's Joel Dahmen. Tell us more about him.
Yeah, Joel Dahmen, such a terrific story. And he's a name that many people wouldn't be familiar with, but he has won on the PGA Tour last year. He won in the Dominican Republic. He is the world number 130, but he's playing in the last group right now because he finished his 2nd round on 5 under par. He is finding it a little bit challenging right now, but he's a great character. People that have spent time with him just love him. We got a sense of what he was all about when he came and spoke to the media after his 2nd round performance. And it's interesting because he's kind of had to find his way on tour, and he was kind of talking about how he was trying to be something that he wasn't, and now he's gone back to who he is, and he's playing better as a result.
I've always just tried to be myself, I guess. My rookie year out here, I was not myself. I was trying to be a pro golfer, and that's not who I am per se. I'm a little more laid back and like to have a little more fun, and I have my best friend beside me, and Gino, and he is a ton of fun and he's fun to be around. So it's kind of weird how just us being ourselves and kind of putting it out there for everyone, it's kind of endearing, and it's pretty cool to have people root for you. It's great.
Joel Dahmen has realised that you can take golf too seriously, that you can take yourself too seriously. He's done away with all of that. The good example, after his first round here, he went out to a concert, and here he is in contention. This guy is a cancer survivor, and if you want to see a really, really fun moment from him, this was when he won the Dominican Republic last year. He's known for wearing a bucket hat, and it was so windy that the wind just took it off his head, and it flew off the green, and his caddy had to do an amazing job just to run there and catch it and save the hat. And you know what's really interesting today, because it's so windy? He was out on the range in his trademark bucket hat, and by the time he teed off, he realized it wasn't going to fly, or maybe it was going to fly. So he's been playing out there on the course with a cap on. He's got the bucket hat back in the bag. He doesn't want to risk losing it again.
No, it's very, very, very special indeed on his headwear there. Don, thank you so much. Boy, what a story he is as well. One of courage and inspiration as well. Thanks to Don there, the team there. Terrific work at this year's US Open. Ahead on World Sport, we're going to be checking in on the very latest ahead of this Sunday's Canadian Grand Prix. And as we continue the countdown to Wimbledon, the four-time Grand Slam champ who's just withdrawn, and now she's giving her reasons why.
For too long, we have waited for hours to convert currencies, days to clear checks, and decades to reach our potential. But now, we can access the power of African free trade in an instant with PAPS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. Overcome barriers, reduce risks, trade in local currencies, and connect with a single market united across Africa. Be a part of Africa's flourishing free trade today.
If we meet every commitment, if every country meets every commitment of the Paris Climate Accords, almost 50% of the world's energy is still going to come from natural gas and oil in 2040. And that means we need more investment in this sector, not just in the United States, but throughout the world. While at the same time, we need to be reducing emissions. And that's a top priority for us as well. In fact, the American Petroleum Institute came out with a policy just last year on how you can continue to invest in American oil and gas while at the same time reduce emissions. And we have a good record. In fact, in the power sector, just in the last 15 years, we've been able to reduce emissions by 40%. And most of that is because of a fuel switch that has gone on from coal to natural gas. We want to be able to continue to export that environmental progress throughout the world.
Well, these really are interesting times right now, aren't they, to say the least, for the Russian tennis star Daniil Medvedev, who already knows he can't compete at Wimbledon later on this month after a ban on both Russian and Belarusian players, just following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Well, the US Open champ also suffering a shock loss in last weekend's final in the Netherlands to the then 205th ranked young Dutch player Tim van Rijthoven. World number one Medvedev looking to try and put matters right, though, this weekend. And we can tell you the man from Moscow is through to another final. This is the Halle Open in Germany after he sees off the homegrown talents of Oscar Otte in straight sets on Saturday, through to another final. Can he win it, though? Elsewhere, Poland's Hubert Hurkacz advancing to his fifth tour final by powering past Nick Kyrgios in three. The Aussie star, though, winning the first set, again showing all his trademark showmanship during this close-fought contest. But the Pole just too good when it matters most, hitting back in style to level the match before going on to take the decider on the tiebreaker to reach his first grass court final. So next up, it's a mouth-watering prospect. It's Hurkacz and Medvedev colliding head-to-head in Sunday's final. That should be a wonderful match to watch. Okay, let's stay in Germany now and head to Berlin's Bet1 Open, where Tunisian star Ons Jabeur has continued her impressive form this year by booking her spot in Sunday's final. This amid really searing heat. The temperatures there right now across the German capital city this weekend. The top-seeded Jabeur recovering from 1-3 down in the first against teenage American player Coco Gauff, but responding very impressively indeed to power away to the first set. Ultimately on the tiebreaker, Gauff got to the final of the French Open in Paris recently, and this was her best run yet in a grass court event, but in the end, the second set was smooth sailing for the Tunisian player. She closes out the match in straight sets, cheered on by the fans there waving the flags of her homeland. Jabeur will face the Swiss player Belinda Bencic in Sunday's final. Now, on Saturday, we learned Japan's four-time tennis Grand Slam champ Naomi Osaka won't be playing at this year's Wimbledon tournament, which gets underway later on this month in England due to injury. Last week, the 24-year-old posting a video via Twitter of herself rehabbing her Achilles, writing, "Here's me running on an underwater treadmill because my Achilles is being stubborn. Still, I must be aging or something." Osaka, who suffered a first-round exit recently at the French, had also recently said, remember that? She said she was unsure if she would play Wimbledon due to player ranking points being up for grabs. No player ranking points at all up for grabs this year at Wimbledon. Well, some big football transfer news that we're breaking through this weekend. We're following closely the England defender Lucy Bronze signing on the dotted line for Spanish giants Barcelona. A 2-year deal for her at the Estadio Camp Nou following her most recent stint at Man City. The 30-year-old who was best FIFA women's player in 2020, joining the powerhouse champions of Spain's Primera Division. The Catalans also Champions League runners-up to Lyon last season. This is Bronze's second move overseas after she left the Manchester club for Lyon 5 years ago, when she won 3 straight Champions League titles. Well, this coming just a day after Barcelona had one of their big-name stars moving to Paris Saint-Germain. The 29-year-old Dutch international Lieke Martens agreeing to a 3-year deal with the French capital club after 5 years in Catalonia. Martens taking to social media saying she's, quote, happy and proud to be starting a new adventure in Paris. Ahead on War Sport this weekend, when it comes to the ultimate athlete, some people compete for less than 10 seconds, while others, well, they spend hours pushing the limits of human endurance.
It was the idea that, yeah, I can do this. If I want to do it, I can do it. And I just have to make that choice and go for it.
Chicago's South Side can sometimes carry a difficult, if not dangerous, reputation.
The threats in our community are numerous. There's threats of violence with gangs, with family members. There's guns. There's inequities in the system where students can't even go outside.
But in recent years, a new problem has come to light: human trafficking.
Human trafficking is something that affects every single person, no matter what age, no matter what gender, no matter what identity. It affects every single person.
But inside the brick walls of the Curie Metropolitan High School, a talented group of students has decided to do something about it. The students are part of a collective called Performers for Change. They're led by dance instructor Melinda Wilson.
Yes.
For the students, it's a chance to express themselves while educating their classmates. For Wilson, it's a chance to bring what some might consider a taboo topic out of the shadows.
I hope that it gets teens to really understand the dynamic of how serious and horrific these crimes are.
Connect the world with Becky Anderson.
It all starts here. Changing, fighting, creating, connecting. Real news that shapes our world. Getting perspective on this region from this region. Places that many of us know, but few of us get to see. It all starts here. And that's why we're here, bringing you the world from our Middle Eastern hub.
Connect the world with Becky Anderson, Monday through Friday on CNN.
You're looking at the English golfer Bronte Law, who trailed compatriot Georgia Hall by 1 stroke at the final hole, but with a long eagle putt, a chance to win the Aramco Team Series London individual title. And yes, the 27-year-old from Stockport going 4 under, would you believe, in her last 4 holes for her 3rd career worldwide victory. Congrats to Bronte Law. Welcome back to you. As we head to Hungary now, we go to check in on the American swimming great Katie Ledecky, and she's recorded her own very special piece of World Championships history this weekend in Budapest. The 7-time Olympic gold medalist triumphing on Sunday. This was in the 400-meter freestyle swim, and what an impact she makes here. The 25-year-old, whose main rival, Australia's Ariarne Titmus, is not competing, clocking a time of 3:58.15. That is a new record at this event. Her 4th career gold medal in the 400-meter freestyle at the Worlds, and a 5th medal overall. Summer McIntosh, a 15-year-old Canadian, winning silver. Ledecky's American teammate Leah Smith winning bronze. Ledecky earning her 16th career World Championships gold. And our hearty congratulations to her. What an achievement. Well, next time you go out for a run or go to the gym and hit the wall thinking you can't go any further, then have a think about Katrina Matthews. She's just become the first woman to finish an Ironman distance triathlon. That's 2.4 miles swimming, 112 miles on a bike, and a marathon run of 26.2 miles, all in less than 8 hours. It was a special event designed to break the sub-8-hour mark, similar to Eliud Kipchoge's sub-2-hour marathon in 2019. She was going head-to-head with another athlete, Olympic medal winner, the Swiss star Nicola Spirig, who at one point actually overtook her. But supported by her team, the 31-year-old Brit completing the challenge in an incredible 7 minutes, 31 minutes, 54 seconds. Katrina then speaking with our very own Amanda Davis.
You didn't just break the record or break the 8-hour barrier. You smashed it by 30-odd minutes. What had you expected going into it?
Actually, my predicted time was that we had sort of set up was around 7:30. I thought I'd swim quicker with a real, structure to my pace line. I thought the bike might be slightly slower. I didn't realise how fast we'd be able to go on the bike, so I think I was expecting around 4 hours. And the run, I had hoped that I would be in the sort of fitness to run it off an easier bike, around a 2:42, like sub 2:45. Which was going to be a PB for me. So I was hoping it was going to be around the 7:30, but in a slightly different order.
I saw that your husband Mark came alongside you on his bike, and what did he say to you at that point?
Yeah, so over the last few months, I've been sort of, I guess, working on the psychology of like, no, I can win, rather than, oh, look how incredible these other athletes are, they deserve to win. And one of the key words that I have sort of focused on a little bit as a mantra, I guess some people call it a mantra, is the idea of like can. And he said to me, whenever it was, he was like, can, which it just came at the perfect time. And it was the idea that, yeah, I can do this. If I want to do it, I can do it. And I just have to make that choice and go for it. He's always been such a massive part of my, I guess, career now. And that support has enabled me to progress the way I have. It's sort of fundamental. I don't think anyone would argue with that. So now having it as a career with him supporting, and I guess the Army supporting him, the Army supporting me, supporting us as a team, like it's really incredible to have it. And he does everything.
Before you were a professional triathlete, I think you were working as a physiotherapist at Headley Court, dealing with injured service people and helping their rehabilitation. What did you take from your time there and from the people you were working with?
We had quite a mix of patients. It wasn't just the complex trauma that we saw coming back from Afghan. It was also a lot of people who'd been struggling with really complex injuries, brain injuries or injuries that were persisting, not really getting better through the normal rehab stream. So it was exposed straight away to the idea of the psychology behind pain and behind the emotional management of pain. And that's one of my biggest takeaways is the psychological involvement of pain, of exercise, of understanding that you are always in control of how you decide your emotions. And if somebody's in the place where you think that's impossible to get out of, it's actually their mentality that enables them to get out of it or not. And so I think that's was really eye-opening and inspiring for me to see other people going through what seems absolutely impossible, but somehow some of them did it. And I guess you draw back on that with an event like this. It's trying to relate how I've done a triathlon, the iron distance as a team, but under, in 7 hours 30. Somebody else might be thinking, cool, well, I'm going to go for a run, and one day I'd like to break that 45 minutes for the park run, or 1 hour, whatever it is. It's something that seems impossible. If you work at it and you choose to work at it, it could well be possible in the future.
Do you feel superhuman?
No. Absolutely not, especially after a few drinks and some donuts.
Can relate to that. Our thanks to Katrina there talking with Amanda. Much more ahead on World Sport. We're taking you to the high seas. Next up, this in our latest Rolex Minute for you.
One of yachting's signature offshore races, the Rolex Juralia, saw a 141-strong fleet set out from Saint-Tropez in light conditions, headed for Genoa. Arca SGR led for much of the race and appeared to be in a winning position. But during the final stretch, a tactical masterstroke saw Magic Carpet Cubed overhaul Arca to take line honours, with Lisa R claiming overall victory on corrected time. The Rolex TP52 World Championship gets underway in Cascais on Monday. 5 days of competition will take place at the Portuguese venue, renowned as one of the planet's premier racing locations. The fleet features monohulls from around the world, all intent on taking the prestigious title won by United States entry Sled in 2021.
It is said the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. But at sea, the forces of nature won't allow it. Here, experience and willpower must conjoin with humility. For even if the course is never a straight line, more often than not, it is the right one.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Advancement, adaptation, new Marketplace Middle East.
From digital banking to biometric payments, we take a look at innovation and technology in the future of finance.
Marketplace Middle East, Sunday on CNN.
As promised, we're back with you this Saturday qualifying action of Formula One's Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal, with so much of the focus right now on Ferrari star Charles Leclerc. More woes for the man from Monaco. This after learning he needs to use a third control electronics element of the season, and that's resulted in a 10-place grid penalty. So Leclerc will be starting on the back of the grid on Sunday after taking a new engine. Meantime, it is championship leader Max Verstappen who will be on pole for Sunday's big race. It's only the second time this season the reigning world champion will start at the front of the grid. It's been a good day also for Fernando Alonso after he finished in second place. Big weekend ahead in Montreal. All right, this is absolute must-see TV for you. Fair to say that most people, when we go to the Greek islands for a bit of a relaxing vacation, a bit of sightseeing, maybe some good food, some fine wine, but oh no, there's a group of athletes who go for something entirely different. Take a look at this.
A lot of times when I come up with moves, it's literally I get into like a body position that I think is funny and then try to figure out how to flip out of that body position. And it's just a fun process.
Oftentimes when I'm creating a line or something, I'll just start off with like the first move and then I kind of like just play around from there until more things come into my brain, and then eventually it just feels like a full line.
We've been just jumping around, flipping around at a very young age. And since we're twins, we were doing the same thing. I was doing flips, he was doing flips. And I kind of went to YouTube, searched up parkour, and kind of went down the rabbit hole and just started watching all of these legendary videos and got very inspired.
We're not actually super competitive with each other. A lot of times we're working together, and we each have separate kind of styles. So he does more flowy tricks, I do sometimes bigger tricks, and they kind of complement each other.
first thing you learn when you do parkour is typically how to shoulder roll, how to break fall, how to do things where if you mess up the thing you're trying to do, you can actually fall and still do it safely.
A lot of times you only see the final product, but some people can look at a jump that is maybe death-defying, and a lot more goes into it than just winging yourself off the building. Sometimes people are looking at jumps for years. Ever since I was young, this has been a dream of mine, coming to AOM, making it in. So I was definitely a bit upset that I had to withdraw, but we made the most of an unfortunate situation. There's no one else I would rather have replace me.
After a long time off from parkour, recovering from a shoulder surgery, I'm just so glad that I was able to do it again. I'm just very grateful for my body being as strong as it is. When I first started competing, it was always against the guys. We never had a women's competition, and then I think in the past like 3 years they've come up a lot more, having a women's competition. I'm just seeing so much amongst them that I've never seen before with the girls, and it's just really exciting to watch that progress. Also, it's very good to have a healthy competition with other people around. It just makes the sport grow in such a beautiful way.
Wow, they are skilled and courageous beyond belief. For our teams at the US Open, London, of course, right here in Atlanta, thank you so much for joining us this weekend. Join Alex for Sunday editions of our show. Stay with CNN and take care. Bye for now. Cool, thank you.
Almost all carbon emissions come from industries that shape our world. But at Standard Chartered, we believe progress doesn't have to cost our planet. That's why we're mobilizing $300 billion to help our clients change the way they operate, accelerating the transition to a net zero world. Because where others see problems, we see potential. We're Standard Chartered, and we're here for good.
Transformation, technology, new Marketplace Europe.
A Davos of difference, a WEF like no other, as leaders face historic crises.
Marketplace Europe, Sunday on CNN.
Our mission here at CNN, the news comes first.
More breaking news that we are following right now. Welcome to the Situation Room. We have breaking news.
Business is all about making connections. But some connections are easier to make than others. With a CNN partner hotel, the world is always at your fingertips. CNN Partner Hotels, connected to your world.
Mainland China tolerates no signs of dissent whatsoever.
Are you anticipating dozens of people being prosecuted? Hundreds? Thousands?
We're flying over ISIS front lines. This is the only protection we have Nerves are still very much on edge. Firefighters have been battling this blaze for weeks. This is unfolding in front of our eyes.
Ivan Watson, CNN.
I'm Paulo Sandoval in Bogota, Colombia, and this is CNN.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
Putting on a show is about more than just the spectacle. From the veteran thespian who's helping restore a historical theatre,
I believe it's very important for the development of any nation that the cultural space is not only allowed to exist, but it needs to flourish.
to a legend in the making.
The talent is there, the content is there, the audience is there. If the shows are packaged right, people will come to see it.
To a new generation with big talent and even bigger dreams.
My future dream as a theatre actor would be to probably win a Tony Award. Because I cannot restrict myself to Nigeria. I have to go out to the world.
And behind the scenes, those lighting a path for others to follow.
I came from that street zone and nobody knew who Matthew was. But most places you get to today, you hear Matthew Lights from nowhere, and I'm here today.
These are Nigeria's thespians reviving the industry. This is Inside Africa. In Lagos, Nigeria, the stage is set for acting legend Joke Silva.
I love them in their costumes.
But this time, she's not on the stage. She's in front of it.
The viewing here is actually one of the best in the house.
Joke says her career as a thespian kicked off with an answer to a prayer.
I was taking my what we call the gold level Lambda exams. I also needed a pointer to what my future was going to be. And I said to the Lord, Father, if I get the highest mark in England from the Lambda exams this year, and I pass my gold medal exams with honors, then I know that I am walking in your will to become an actor. And both things came to pass. My father, hoping to dissuade me, I think, said, okay, why don't you take a year out and go and work in this profession that you insist you want to go into? So I did. And that was the beginning, and I never looked back.
A 40-year career treading the boards equals a lifetime of memories. Some good, others best forgotten.
There was one that I took part in called Through a Film Darkly, and I totally dried on stage. And I tried to relax and remember my lines. I didn't really, and so I ran off stage and I started bawling my eyes out. I came back on stage, and thank the Lord, it has never happened again in an over 40-year career.
Having performed around the world, Joke says Nigeria's theatre industry could use a rebirth.
When I started out in the early 80s, there was a vibrancy, there was so much going on in the theatre, so much going on at the National Theatre, major works that were going on. The future seemed extremely bright. And then everything just kind of dried up. Part of it has to do with the lack of spaces, definitely. But I think also a major thing is part of the structures for the performing arts in Nigeria.
That's a problem she's hoping to solve with this historical venue in the heart of Lagos.
Glover Memorial is the oldest theatre in Nigeria. The foundation stone was laid in 1887. It is the premier theatre in Nigeria. I really wanted to come on board. A lot of people didn't see how you could revive that. I could, I can, and I can still see it.
For every leading role, there's got to be a supporting act. And Joke's right-hand man at Glover also happens to be her son.
Working with her has been really exciting. She actually sold the idea of Glover to the team. At first, we were a bit skeptical about Glover, but she always talked about the history and heritage. She's very charismatic, she's very tenacious. She doesn't give up. It doesn't matter how many arguments you put in front of her. As long as she believes in it, she's still going to go ahead.
She credits her family for being her backbone along the journey.
I remember in the early years, thinking to myself that I'm not really sure I was cut out to be a mother. But being married to the man that I'm married to, very caring about his family, very children-centric.
Reviving Glover Hall and being a working actor takes up a lot of time, so she looks to a different kind of art for inspiration.
My dream gallery was set up by one of my sisters about 30 years ago, and there's just something about that space. As you walk in to my dream, the incredible work of art on the wall, just going into the gallery is fascinating.
Looking back on her journey, she says it's all been worth it.
I feel proud that one has stuck through and pushed through the difficult years, and one is still standing.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
The world is changing, the industry's changing, the windows are changing, things going to streaming are changing. And I think if you're a company that just sits around and says, I'm going to do things the same way I've done them for the past 20 years, you're going to be left in the dust. So IMAX has been looking to move into other areas. We did a live stream with Kanye and Drake, and that was really successful. People dancing in the theaters. We also, in a related way, did a deal with Disney Plus, where we're now on that service.
We have front row seats.
And for a number of the big Marvel titles, you could see them with IMAX aspect ratio. So the core movie business is doing extremely well. I think we have to lead the way to a transition to the new world and look at new ways of doing things.
I want to go now to an incredible story of survival. Could all this spending lead to a bigger economic crisis? Or would you do it all again in terms of being a nurse?
I want to help people more than I ever have.
Aaron Burnett out front on CNN.
Alrighty guys, let's do a read.
It's crunch time for thespian Kemi Lala Akindoju.
So we're here at Francomi Studio. It's a rehearsal space, and we are preparing for a performance for the International Women's Day celebration. I am producing and directing and acting in the piece.
Wearing many hats is now second nature for Lala, but theatre was her first love.
It's not there yet. I like the beginning. I grew up watching plays. My father would take us out every time there was a public holiday over the weekends to go see a play. That's how it sounds rhythmically. In 2005, I was an undergraduate at the University of Lagos. I was in fellowship, I was singing, I was doing background vocals. I just loved to express myself. Why?
She played the lead role in a Christmas play, and that sealed the deal.
Continue taking up space. The moment I got on stage that day, I was like, yes, this is it. I decided I wanted to pursue this as the beginning of my journey into the performing arts. It wasn't really clear-cut, but I knew that theatre would give me that access. In 2007, in my final year, there was an announcement. Wole Ogutokun was doing a season of Wole Soyinka plays, at TerraCulture. That was the beginning.
Pay him no more attention than you will, you know.
From those 4 Sundays in July 2007, I started doing plays every Sunday for the next 3 years and more. And yeah, the rest is history.
Since then, Lala has worked her way up in the industry, producing her own plays, featuring in successful movies, and creating a platform for budding thespians.
Madam is asleep, sir. I wanted to help people coming after me to find easier ways to get into the industry, easier ways to be seen, easier ways to connect and network. And so I had this idea to do something called Open Mic Theatre. Creating Open Mic Theatre opened up so many things and possibilities. There's a community, there's a generation of actors in Nigeria today that were birthed from Open Mic Theatre. There's a network of professionals in the industry that were birthed from Open Mic Theatre.
Okay. No, that's okay. Just communicate with me.
Open Mic is on hold for now, but she continues to support young talent. One mentee says Lala's work ethic can be a tough act to follow.
Lala is a force. She's very driven. Our relationship is constantly her pulling me up to her energy. And sometimes, I can't lie, it's very frustrating, but it's also something I'm very, very thankful for.
She's like, okay, I've got an idea.
When she's working, and she expects everyone that's working with her to bring the same energy.
This fast, but do you understand your pre-thoughts? Yeah.
Back to present day.
You know you're coming up now.
Performance showtime for Lala's team, and the pressure is on.
This is not a joke. I go collect the key from my manager. I go open the office. I go clean everywhere. It is time to break the bias.
The journey of an actor or an artist is very peculiar. Sometimes you have to create opportunities for yourself. That was the foundation around the creation of my one-woman show, Naked. It pushed me as an actor, pushed me as a producer.
She's also pushed herself into directing.
Writer likes to be here, right?
Initially, I didn't think I was ever going to direct anything. But this is what I realized. I had ideas. And I had things I wanted to see on stage. Secondly was the budget. I'm like, if I direct this thing, I don't have to pay somebody. So those two things motivated me. Theatre is important because it's very human. It forces you to discuss things. And because you are in that room, sometimes the issues are uncomfortable. Sometimes you feel you want to run. Theatre encourages us to, have some introspection.
For Lala, going back to where it all started helps her appreciate just how far she's come.
Easily, the first person who's been very instrumental to my journey everywhere is Joke Silva. And my parents have been very supportive. My husband is very supportive. He's my biggest cheerleader. My son, he brings me a lot of joy at the area of fair.
As for the future, for her and for the industry that launched her career, the goal is simple.
To leave a name that's bigger than me. To do work that would outlive me. Work that would touch people's lives. When you call my name and say, who has she worked with? How are people who work with me, how are they because they worked with me? It matters to me. I yearn for a time where theatre practitioners in Nigeria are always working and earning so that their quality of life is very good. As thespians, the quality of your life reflects in your work.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Welcome to The Lead. We begin with breaking news.
United States has plunged into a recession. We're seeing infections at an all-time high. What's your reaction to that? Here are the facts.
The Lead with Jake Tapper.
Have you heard it like this?
Let's untangle the players and political forces.
Fast-paced news from the perspective of The Global Brief with Bianca Nobilo. Weeknights on CNN.
Nigeria's theatre industry is brimming with creativity and talent.
The beautiful thing about making theatre is when you see where you started from, when it was just an idea, to where it gets to, when it's now a performance. That thing is mind-blowing.
Those who remember its glory days say there are challenges to overcome.
The lack of consistency in the sense that there are not that many good productions.
Despite that, there's young talent making a name for themselves on the stage.
My name is Oluchi Udi. I'm a singer, songwriter, and an actor.
Oluchi, it happens in a split second.
In school, then, I would just sing in the hostel. And people would always stare at me and they'd be like, Oluchi, you can sing. Oh. And that was when it clicked that, okay, I think I have a gift.
It's a gift that runs in the family.
My mom used to sing and record music. And then my dad used to be a member of a band. I grew up listening to all genres of music. What prompted me to move further, beyond secondary school was the need to let the world hear my voice. I told myself that I couldn't just settle for where I was at the time. I first of all went on to Nigerian Idol. That was in 2015. I got to the top 30 level and then I was evicted. But of course, knowing that I still wanted so much more, I went on to MTN Project Fame, season 8.
Despite not winning either show, it did change her career trajectory. And in 2016, she quit her job as a business developer.
Auntie Joke Silva was the one who introduced me to theatre. So while I was in the academy, she wanted each and every one of the contestants to sing a favorite song of theirs. She listened and she was like, Oluchi, there's an audition that is coming up. And funny thing is, I got the role and I was to play lead. My first ever theatre production in Heartbeat the Musical. Being my first ever theatre production, stepping on stage and performing, it's a feeling that I really can't describe. It just gave me that sense of fulfillment and happiness that I had started that journey.
Oluchi was an amazing find. She's got that something. She's an incredible interpreter with an amazing voice. So very disciplined, very unproblematic for the director or the producer. But more importantly, she's also very talented. So when you bring all that together, of course she's going to shine.
So this is my friend's studio here in Bagada, and he's Kinsley, Ofonha, my childhood friend. We've known each other for like 25 years or more. And this is where I recorded my very first song.
I'm ready when you are.
I'm ready. Them say you know fine and you know getting money, but together we blend just like rice and beans, and that's enough for me. That's enough for me. Music is my first love, so I feel like every time I'm doing this, I'm doing what God has called me to do. It was through music that I got into acting. So this is the space that gives me life.
Oluchi says in almost 6 years as a thespian, it has exceeded her expectations.
My first major highlight, of course, would be Heartbeat the Musical, playing lead, My second would be joining the Hereward team. Through Hereward, I've had the opportunity to travel around the world. My third would be Ada the Country, because I also got the chance to work with another set of phenomenal women who I've watched over the years.
But living her dream doesn't mean there aren't a few things she'd like to change.
I wish I was told beforehand that theatre is rigorous and energy demanding, but I like the fact that it's rigorous and keeps you fit. It makes me a better performer. So even as a solo music artist, I can stand on any stage because I'm grounded with theatre.
Oluchi says the goal is to continue to grow.
The quest for more knowledge, that was what made me go to Identity School of Acting in London. I ran my course in acting for 6 months. It's one of the best experiences I've had. My future dream as a theatre actor would be to probably win the Tony Award. Because I cannot restrict myself to Nigeria. I have to go out to the world, and I never want to stop. I want to look back 70 years from now and say, you tried it. You went this far.
For those coming after her, she has a few words of encouragement.
To never relent. If you have a dream, follow your dream. There will be obstacles, but you cannot let that bring you down.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Advancement, adaptation, new Marketplace Middle East.
From digital banking to biometric payments, we take a look at innovation and technology in the future of finance.
Marketplace Middle East, Sunday on CNN.
For any play to come together, there are those behind the scenes, without whom the show would literally be in the dark.
Trying to confirm if these lights are working.
Matthew, or Mato as he's often called, is one of Nigeria's foremost lighting designers in the theatre space.
Lighting for theatre is very essential in a theatre production, and it helps you create and tell story.
Today, the award-winning lighting designer is working on the musical Ada the Country. It's the day before the show and all hands are on deck.
Yeah, you're fine now. I always wanted to be in that circle of entertainment. I want to be a dancer and an actor. I got into lighting design from Performance Studio Workshop, where I got mentored by Tafi Oyewusi. Somehow I was the best student in my set, and Tafi, my lecturer, my mentor, saw something in me.
When he came in, he didn't come in only as a student. Matthew does not really ask only about what's going on. He's coming to ask me more about philosophy, about life. He just has this kind of a visual memory that you tell him something and he can actually give it back to you three-dimensional. It's not his work that is so extraordinary, but what is actually behind that work. And that is why I think he's just getting the payback that everything is just falling into place for him now.
After training, it pushed for me to really find love in technicals, and I really found that love in theatre and light design.
That living wasn't on the stage as he initially dreamed, but Mato loves his role nonetheless.
For me, theatre is actually a journey. From the day you get the script, the day you go to rehearsal, the day they start blocking, the day they start having a proper run. So that process, for me, it's actually very enjoyable to me because I follow that flow and it takes me through to the day of performance.
Like many others, Mato says the lack of theatre venues is holding the industry back. But there's an added layer that affects his work.
Most times we get into that space the night before the performance.